Okay. It is February 21st. This is Monday Night Rolloff. I am Ricardo of Great Balls of Ricardo. Um, hey everyone. I hope you had a good week. Got a shiny face right now. Let's see if I can turn that light down for a second. Let's see. That's really off. All right, let me not mess with it. Yeah, everyone. So, hope you all had a good week of bowling. I myself had an interesting week of bowling. It was certainly, uh, yeah, something to remember to say the least. Um, Let me just get it started by saying that this was both like a really good week, and then also a week in which I was defeated. So, I'll just get right into it. So I got a new ball. Last week to do a ball reviews on the new Hammer 3D offset, which I've been super excited about. My last Monday Night Roll Off, I did I kind of talked about it a little bit, and then the ball review came out last week. And lo and behold, in my Wednesday night league, which is usually the league that I don't do so well in, I threw my first 700. It was totally bonkers. In a certain way, I knew that I was feeling really good. I was really like enjoying bowling. I went through a really bad slump for a little bit there. I know I talked about it some, but the worst part about doing a slump like that is, there's this sort of like feeling that you're never going to get out of it. And something I really think I can bring to bowling, and what I want to impart on people, and sort of talk to them about and let them know about, is that like you can definitely there we go. There's something about bowling that I think I want to try changing, which is this really intense defeatist and angry attitude that happens. And I was talking to Tommy Kumlin on Sunday, who is a bowler out of Rhode Island in this New England area. Very good bowler, two-hander, won some tournaments, has a really good average, very solid bowler guy. And I was telling him that bowling must be like the last sport in which there's been an acknowledgement of like positive mental attitude, and the benefit of positive mental attitude. And I say it because even in the PBA recently, I think with everything going on with Sean Rash, for example, and I think what I see weekly in leagues is this very negative attitude about bowling. So I have a teammate on my Wednesday night league who is a left-hander, and when he misses his 7 pins, he'll be walking back past the ball return, and he'll kick the ball return really hard. Like, he'll just kick it super hard, and he'll say, "Dumbass!" And he like really kind of like yells at himself and stuff like that. Tommy, I just mentioned you. That's so funny. Thanks for joining. And so there's this really like negative aspect about bowling, and I think there's a lot of complaining, and there's a lot of just negative talk. And every other sport has reached a point where people are kind of like trying to impart about having a more positive attitude, and how it benefits sport, and it benefits you as an athlete, and how it can improve your game. So I'd really like to impart this, because I was in a terrible slump where I was averaging like 140 for multiple weeks of 140. It was really hard. There was points where I wanted to creep in the thought of, I don't want to do this bowling stuff anymore, right? Like this is too much. This is so aggravating. But I was able to sort of twist that thought and remind myself that you're learning. This is learning. Learning is hard sometimes. Learning is uncomfortable. It's the that old parable of a lobster cracking its shell. to change into a new shell. I mean, it's uncomfortable to learn. And so I kept that in mind as I was struggling. And I came out of it and I threw a 700. And it wasn't even like a bullshit 700 where I I threw like a 300 game and then had a couple of okay normal scores. I threw a 235, a 239 and a 226 and I got 700 on the nose. The nose. And like going along with this theme of mentality, my first game 235, my second game 239, and I knew that there's a possibility I'm going to get my first 700 starting off like that. But I refused to let myself calculate how much I needed. Refused. And instead, I just maintained that I'm going to take every throw and every step and every moment one by one by one. That, like, I'm just gonna do that's gonna be my one focus, is each moment is being mindful. And this is Buddhism. This is mindfulness practice. This is positive mental attitude of just looking at the things you can control. I can't control a score. I can't control an opponent. I can't control the lanes. I can't control the ball. What I can control is each one of the little steps it takes for me to get up to the lane. And so that was it, and I got my 700. That was really exciting, especially that Wednesday night league. That's kind of my hard league in a certain way. I kind of get nervous sometimes. I also made a decision starting on Wednesday. I guess it was on Tuesday. I kind of decided because I was subbing in a league on Tuesday, and I carried this into Wednesday, that I was going to charge into a series because I think I was starting a little bit cautious and muscling the ball and sort of throw, like trying to like be very gentle to start out and cautious. But instead, I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. And that Tuesday night league, when I was in practice, I threw two gutter balls, and I was like, I don't care. I'm just gonna keep going for it. And so I think that all kind of went into it too. That leads into, even though that was so exciting, on Friday night in my third game. The Friday Night League, for some reason, I get my highest scores in. I think because it's low pressure. It's like the fun league. I have the third highest league in that league. The third highest average in that league, and so it's not a lot of pressure, but like I just felt so relaxed, and I think I started off throwing like the first game of that series like a front five, and it was just like whatever. So I reached the third game and I'm at like front five, front six, and my teammate Carter, who had earlier in the season also kind of almost thrown a 300, which is a joke that we have, is that if we throw our first three strikes in a row to start off a game, we just start saying it's a 300. Like we just start going as 300, or we start like we just overdoing it because like it's a fun league, so no one cares that we act like jackasses, to be honest. And so he was doing this thing like where he's like shoveling coal into a train, and he's like the trains are coming. It was so funny, and it was great. It's like it helped keep me really relaxed and laid back, and so I went front 10, which was up until the ninth frame. When I hit the strike in the ninth frame, I was feeling fine, and then I hit that strike in the ninth frame, and I'm like, and I remember I got back from it, and I turned to the car, and I'm like, I'm nervous now. And I was nervous. I like was legit nervous. But it was so locked in. It wasn't, I think what was so cool about going that front 10 is that I didn't have any bad strikes. I was really just on point, really accurate, on point, hitting the pocket. Everything was smooth. It was very easy, very relaxed, very flowy. I think the one thought in my head that threw me off a little bit was I was throwing Duca, and Duca is my 900 Global Reality Dark Knight, which is the overseas of the Alter Reality. And I think there's only 500 of these balls made, and they were made in Korea. And so there's some that were, brought over to the States, but I don't know how many. It couldn't have been much, right? So I have a incredibly rare bowling ball, the Dark Knight. And so And so I just thought to myself, how effing cool would it be to throw a perfect game with this incredibly rare bowling ball? It was that was really the only like improper thought I would say I had. It was really funny. But so so I got to the second frame, the second shot in the 10th frame, and I was crazy nervous, just crazy nervous, and I pulled it. I almost went Brooklyn. Like I almost went Brooklyn. And considering that I didn't have any BS strikes for that whole game, and that there's just one that maybe may have been, a little bit of luck kind of would have carried me into that final shot, which would have been incredible. But but yeah, it was just great. I'm thrilled. So I threw a 288 because I got the air 8 spare, and it was great. I really, what a fun thing to do in bowling. It's so fun to do something well. I'm so happy that things have been going so well, and that really coming out of a really hard slump like I have been, that I've been in, to come out of it and do basically the best bowling I've ever done in my entire life. And I've kind of always had this conversation that I always interject while I'm talking about my bowling experience nowadays, which is I used to bowl when I was a teenager, and I was better when I was a teenager. I had a 289 game when I was a teenager. I won a junior pro-am. I didn't have a higher average though. My average was like 175 back then, but quite frankly, bowling was much harder in the 90s. So in 1 week to have my first 700 series, set a new high at 288. That was so great. It was so incredible. What a great fun week. I was really on cloud nine the whole time. Ironically, some things in my outside life that I wish I didn't have to deal with as much were kind of annoying, and at times I'd have to sit back and just think about what was going on in bowling and how much I was enjoying it and stuff like that. So, but of course, because of this sport and how it goes, and something I'm so grateful about is that on Sunday I went to a 5 game sweeper and I sucked. Absolutely terrible. I was just terrible. I was totally not. I did not throw the ball at all what I wanted to. I was I think so it was 5 games. The first 3 games I basically was hitting my mark and doing kind of in that groove that I was in, for basically in the groove that I'd been in for from the week before. But because it wasn't going well, because of the nature of the pattern that I was on, it made me really get off. Like it threw me off of made me get off. Great, that'll be fun. It made me get thrown off from what I was doing, and then by the end of it, I think my technique got thrown off because of it. And so I went bowling afterwards. I did the 5 game sweeper, and then I did a practice game at a bowling alley that was complete garbage, and so it just wasn't worth doing it, which really didn't do me any favors. But again, I couldn't throw the ball I wanted to throw it, which is fine. That's what happens, right? So yeah, so that was my last week. It was kind of you know phenomenal, ended by not phenomenal. So I in a certain way, I like when things like that happen. I like when I get humbled. I like when I feel like I still have things to work on. I sometimes think about some other bowlers I'm friends with, like my friend Dennis Bissonette, who on Sunday like basically bowled the best a person could bowl over a 5 game sweeper without it being a 900. And he had like a pair of 300s and 270s and a 280 or what. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it was just he like didn't throw a strike 3 times in 5 games. That's unbelievable. That's just unbelievable bowling. I mean, like that's crazy. And so it's good. I like knowing that I have a lot more to do still, because I want to have a lot more to do, and it lets me explain things more and talk things more and teach. Like a natural is the worst teacher. A person who can just do things easily will not be able to teach others, because they'll just say, "Oh, you just throw a strike," and instead of being able to explain it. So So yeah, that's good. Something I really realize I need to work on is getting more hand in the ball. I think when I line up to bowl, I have good hand placement. Like I start off good hand placement, but I think in my backswing, I release it. So I'll start like this, but then in my backswing, I kind of straighten my hand out so that my hand placement doesn't matter. And what ends up happening is if I find myself on a kind of wetter lane or a wetter pattern, then it slides out and I get no action in the ball. So it's something I have to work on now, which is great. I mean, I realized that when I was playing the tournament that I wasn't doing that very well, and so I tried a couple times, and I think that's what started leading to me pulling. So again, just things to work on and stuff like that. So um another thing I wanted to bring up is that working on I'm working on something that I think will either get me a lot of attention or get me a lot of people hating me. And sometimes you got to take risks like that in life if you want to accomplish great things. And so I'm basically going to write an article about my thoughts on why bowling hasn't grown since the 90s and what's wrong with it. Um, we'll see how it goes. I don't really know exactly. I'd like to think that the world can handle constructive criticism, but of course it can't. And so we'll see. I'm gonna focus a lot on a lot of the financials of bowling. I think that there was a way bowling was, and I don't think it's there anymore. I think bowling used to be a class based sport, and that I mean that lower to middle class people, it was their sport. And I think now that bowling is at best $6 a game, and a bowling ball is $200, and you have to buy multiple bowling balls now because of the conditions of the lane. And I saw a family at a bowling alley up here reserve 2 lanes for a party or something like that. I think it was like 8 kids, and the bill was like $200. I mean, $200 for 2 lanes for 8 kids is outrageous. And but that's for a sport that kind of claims itself to be the sport of lower middle class people. And so I think that's a big time problem. I think another problem is that if you're going to charge that much money, you can't look bad. And I think a lot of bowling looks bad. Just my opinion. So I'll get into that. That should be interesting. I'll post it up. I'm going to do it as a Medium article and go from there. Also, I'm not going to give it away, but speaking of Dennis, I have a kind of cool video that I'm going to be posting. It's in regards to the 3D offset. And so hopefully that'll be out on Wednesday. Usually I do my video releases on Wednesdays for no particular reason, just that I think it's a good day. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I'd love to hear any feedback from that if after it goes up and stuff like that. But yeah, so hopefully I'll have a good a good week again in bowling. Again, just really had a good one last week until yesterday, and I'm it'll be interesting to see if I threw myself off, and I'm gonna take my last week of 700 series and 288 high game, and let's see if I roll right back into a slump again. So that'll be funny. Optimistic always. So all right, that's basically all I have for today. I'll be posting scores Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are the leagues that I'm going to be in. I really need a break from this 3 league a week, and so thankfully this is the last Tuesday that I'm going to be. Tomorrow is going to be the last Tuesday night that I'm going to be bowling in, and so hopefully I can sort of like calm down, relax, recuperate, get some practice in, think about things, let little nagging kind of like not injuries so much, but just like my hand and my arms sometimes get a little sore in the morning and stuff like that, and it'll be good to let that heal up or whatever, and do some more things to help people out. And something I'm really trying to aim for is getting my USBC coaching certificates and get those together so that I can do that. And I kind of always tease this thing, but I have a really, really, really big project, like a super duper duper big bowling project that I'm not yet ready to start talking about openly, but it'd be good to be able to have some time to work on that. Until then, thanks for checking this out and have a good week of bowling yourself. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.